It's one out and one in at Celtic with one player leaving Glasgow to arrive in France and another leaving France to arrive in Glasgow. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. And the deal looks set to be done. Kyogo is going one way, Jota is going the other way. Pretty much a swap here. 10 million in, 10 million out. Is Celtic getting a good deal here? Are RENNES getting a good deal here? Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it in detail. Right, are they getting a good deal? Right, let's just break it down. So, they're selling a 30-year-old for what? A 25-year-old? When you look at it like that, it is a good deal. But then when you factor in the fact that Jota's a left winger, and he could play up front, but I think Maida's going to go through the middle now. Celtic are losing their best striker since Larsson. Not my opinion. Celtic fans' opinion. So therefore, I have to think that they are weakened by this. I know Kyogo's getting on in age, right? But he's 30. People are pretending like he's 40. He's 30. Kyogo I would say Kyogo still has about 4 or 5 years at a decent level. No complaints, no questions asked. And I think the weirder thing about this deal is there was no goodbye. You know what I mean? Like usually, I mean, I know in January there's no real time for goodbye. In the summer, the last game at home, you kind of know if a player's going to leave or not. Someone commented on our feed saying, I knew he was leaving when he didn't celebrate against Ross County. That's when Celtic beat them 4-1. Honestly, I didn't recall Kyogo not celebrating. Did you?
No, I didn't recall it.
I mean, that's weeks ago, man. This deal's only really come in the pipeline, like what, in the past couple of days. I don't think Kyogo was thinking about leaving back, a couple of weeks ago, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. I'm surprised at this, man. It doesn't make any sense to me. Kyogo, though, leaving Celtic, leading the champions. He's had, multiple great seasons at the club. He is the best striker in Scotland, and now he's leaving Scotland, and obviously it's a big blow for Celtic. I think it's a big blow for the Scottish Premiership as well, because he's been a joy to watch, albeit maybe I haven't liked him scoring against my team, but you watch Celtic, you watch Kyogo, and you do get good football. And I mean, he is one of those players that you do enjoy watching, even if it sometimes comes at the expense, of yourself or your club's results or whatnot. So yeah, I think it is sad to see Kyogo go, because we want the best footballers that we can get in Scotland, and I think Kyogo has been one of the best strikers that we have seen in Scotland and in this generation. 100%. People say he's the best Celtic striker since Henrik Larsson. Therefore, he must be, one of, if not the best striker the league has seen since Henrik Larsson. I think that only makes sense. He's definitely in the top 5 strikers, I'd say, since the millennium. So yeah, it's a big loss, but obviously it's a bigger loss for Celtic. It's a loss for Scottish football not to have a great play. It's just like when any player leaves a big league. I remember when Henry left the Premier League to go to Barca, that was a big loss for I remember when Hazard left and he was like the best player in the league at that point. When he went to Real Madrid, it was a big loss for the Premier League. And you see this. Also, Jota, to an extent, I felt when he left it, when the big players leave, it kind of does suck. And I don't know, this is a difficult one. I mean, obviously it makes Celtic weaker, and I'm not going to sit and pretend here that I don't want that, because all the teams in Scotland are trying to close the gap. They're trying to catch Celtic. So look, you want the gap to get closer, and Kyogo leaving Celtic 100% brings Celtic closer to the other teams, because he is by far their best striker at the club. Now look, they could maybe replace him with the 10 days remaining. If they do that, then great. Maybe they could bring in somebody better than Kyogo, somebody younger than Kyogo, somebody that they can have for a longer period of time at the club, somebody they've got a bigger future with. Then maybe they'll do that. We've seen Celtic sell players and then bring in cheaper players. And look, sometimes they do a good job. I mean, they replaced Juranovic with Alistair Johnston, and he seems to be an upgrade at this point. So look, maybe they'll do something similar. Maybe they'll go out and they'll bring in a Kyogo replacement. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll go, right, Ida, this is your time. £9.5 million, it's your time to step up, it's your time to be the main striker at the club. Have you got what it takes? I'm sure Ida will be excited at this prospect, because he's thinking, right, I'm now number 1 in the pecking order. Even if Celtic do bring in another striker, I think they're unlikely to spend the amount they spent on Ida. Therefore, they could bring in a Kyogo replacement, but that replacement is still behind Ida. So for me, Ida has probably got the number 1 jersey in terms of the number 1 up front for Celtic. It's his shirt to lose at the moment. So yeah, even though it's probably, I mean, he'll be delighted because his form's not been great. So, I mean, he'll see this as a way to cement. And he's been getting a lot of first team football, but I think he was probably going to drop out because, you know, he had Maida coming back, Kuhn coming back. So he was probably going to drop back to the bench, but this will get him back into the starting 11. So, I mean, he'll be happy about it, but I think Ida's probably the only person at Celtic that's going to be happy about this. I mean, maybe Rodgers will be happy because he's getting a great player in Jota and he's not really having to spend anything due to the 10 million in and 10 million out. So, and we know that maybe Rodgers, Kyogo's not his, you know, preferred type of player up front. So, look, I mean, if Rodgers can go out and bring in a replacement and he gets someone to replace Kyogo and gets Jota without really spending that much money, then, you know, it'll be fantastic business. Knowing Celtic, I expect them to do that because time and time again in the transfer window, more often than not, they do get it right. So credit to them. But I'm just upset. I am a wee bit upset that we're losing Kyogo. I think the guy's been great for Scottish football, and I'd rather he stayed. And I'm sure his teammates Maida and Hatate will be a bit disappointed. But I mean, the one thing is closing before we move on to Jota. The whole talk of Kyogo not being able to get into the Japanese team because he plays for Celtic, he's a striker for Celtic. Yet the other Japanese strikers are supposedly playing at better clubs or at least better leagues, a higher level of football, so call it. I mean, we've seen Maida play up front for Japan a lot, and he plays with Celtic. So, I mean, I don't quite get that. Why is Kyogo not good enough to play up top for Japan? Because Japan have strikers that play in better leagues, but Maida, who plays in the exact same team as Kyogo, albeit he doesn't play up front, he doesn't play as a striker for Celtic, but he still plays as a striker for Japan. So if Japan have better strikers in better leagues, then surely they should be in front of Maida, who plays on the left of a front three for Celtic in the Scottish Premiership. I don't understand that. I don't necessarily... If Kyogo's doing this move, it probably is just to get into the Japanese team, but honestly, man, I think it's a backward step. Celtic's a bigger club than Rennes. Celtic are a better club than Rennes. You're going to win trophies at Celtic. You're going to go down as a Celtic legend. You're going to get in the Champions League, big European games, big cup finals. I mean, say what you want. Celtic win most of the Old Firm games, but they're still massive games. You're going to go to Rennes, and what's the standout game? What's the big matches? You go to Rennes, like what games at the start of the season are you marking in your calendar and going, oh, that's going to be great? What do you look forward to? Oh, another season of finishing 12th in the Ligue 1. To me, Kyogo, he's making a mistake, but you know what? I hope he goes to Rennes. I hope he finds form, and I hope he does get in the Japanese team, because for me, he's certainly good enough to, but I think it may be something personal. I don't think that it's got anything to do with him playing for Celtic, because the fact that Maida starts up front for Japan and he plays in a front three for Celtic, that tells me that Kyogo's just not preferred or liked by the Japanese manager. But yeah, Kyogo out. What about Jota? Jota coming in. Last time Jota was at Celtic, he was probably considered Celtic's best player. Will he be considered Celtic's best player when he rejoins? I would have to say no, because we don't really know what he's done over the past, 18 months? We haven't seen what he's done, but we've seen what Kuhn has done, the man that's basically taken his place. So, yeah, I mean, Jota's coming back, and it's a great addition for Celtic, and I think that he will be a pivotal player, no doubt about it. But for me, he's not the star player for Celtic. He's not the standout player for Celtic. He's not the number one right-sided player in the front three for Celtic, because that's Nicholas Kuhn. So, yeah, Jota's coming back, but unless Maida is going to be played through the middle, will Jota even be in the starting 11? It's kind of crazy, because you would have never thought, when Jota left, you thought here Jota could come back to Celtic in the next 5 years at any time and walk straight into the team. But I mean, as good as he is, I don't know if he walks into the team at this moment in time.
He might not. That was a marathon from Son of Scotland there. I'll tell you what, the Rangers United game's coming on, so my wee part's going to have to get wrapped up here in 2 minutes. But the fact of the matter is this, Celtic are weaker without Kyogo. No two ways about it. If they replace him with someone of similar value, which, will they? I'm not. It's just a weird one for me, because, see, Jota, we've no idea really what he's done. Everyone talks about how bad the Saudi League is. It's not that I defend the Saudi League, but people pretend that it's like Conference League. And I'm not even talking about the Europa Conference League.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not even the fact he was in Saudi. He just didn't play that many games. He wasn't getting in the squad. He was getting left out the professional squad. And
is he the same player that he was that he left? He might not. You know what? He doesn't need to be to perform at Celtic.
I remember there was all those weird rumours that he was gay, and that was somehow keeping them out, which I don't know if there's any truth to that. But that was what was floating around.
Yeah.
But here, look, it's worked
Like,
out
he
for...
played games, so I don't even know what's happening there, to be honest. But I tell you what, it's just a weird deal. Came out of nowhere. And earlier on this week, though, it was like, oh, Rennes are going to offer Jota and 10 million and a bit of money.
Nah, they were never offering that's wrong. They were never offering that for Kyogo. I mean, Celtic have got the better deal here, man. It is what it is. As much as Kyogo's a loss for Celtic, there's no doubt about it. But, I mean, Jota's what? What age is Jota?
I think he's 25, 26.
I mean, he's got almost, 4 years younger than Kyogo. I mean, Celtic could get... Jota could come back and give Celtic another 2 or 3 great seasons, and then Celtic could make another big profit on the guy.
Tell you what, right? They could bring in another striker, bring in Tierney, and you couldn't really ask for a better January.
The way I see it, Celtic can have Jota for the next 2-3 seasons, and they could probably still, if he delivers the same sort of form he did in the first season, his first 2 seasons at the club, his first spell, Celtic could sell Jota on in a couple of years for another 20 million plus. Whereas, regardless of how consistent Kyogo is over the next 2 years, Celtic, you aren't going to get 20 million plus for him. So, like, financially, I mean, it makes sense. Sell Kyogo now while you can still get a decent amount of money for him. Bring Jota in, who's like 4 years younger, and then, in a couple of 2-3 years' time, if you really want to, you can still sell Jota on and make even more money. So, I mean, it's a good deal for Celtic, but they are still losing their number one striker. There's no ifs or buts about that. They're losing their main man up top, and that could be a concern. Depends. Brendan Rodgers, he's got options. I mean, there's 3 options for me. Either he plays Maida up front and Jota plays on the left. He gives Ida a chance as the number 1, and he gives them a prolonged run in the starting 11 from now to the end of the season to see, because maybe if he gets like a full half a season as the main striker, that he might play himself into form. We might see a different side of him. Or the third option is they're going to bring in another centre forward in the transfer window. And I could see that happening with guaranteed playoff stages of the Champions League football now. So it's going to be interesting. It will be interesting for sure. I expect Celtic to make a signing, but we'll wait and see what happens. As for now, though, bye-bye Kyogo, hello Jota. And it's a crazy transfer window, and maybe we're going to see the deals start to come in thick and fast, because at this moment in time, not a lot's happened. There's been some loan deals, some minor signings, but this is a big one, and it's happened on the same day, and it's involved the 2 same clubs. Basically a swap. Crazy turn of events. Anyway, guys, that's it. Fog Football, keeping you up with all the latest news. We are the home of Scottish football. No matter what anybody says in the comments, right? You want your Scottish football talk, you come here, because we do it better than anybody else. But Stevie's about to have a meltdown here, because I think Man United are about to take the lead. Or did I just make that up?
You just made that up.
I made that up. Anyway, this is no made up. This is legit. Celtic losing Kyogo, getting in Jota. Let us know down below. Is this good? Would you take this? You know what? I don't think you can complain. You're getting Jota, and it's not costing you any money. So, and you're getting a player 4 years younger.
I think you can complain to a degree, though, because you're losing the best player you've had up front since Larson.
I'll judge this. I'll fully judge this transfer
at the end of the season.
No, at the end of the transfer window.
End of the transfer window. There we go, guys. Wendy's shot. Rangers United. Match a few later on.